Marcus runs a logistics company, 23 employees, government contracts, fleet of 12 trucks. By every traditional measure, his business is doing fine. And fine is exactly what's going to kill him. Not today, not this quarter, probably not even this year, but slowly, invisibly, one postponed decision at a time. Because here's the thing that nobody's telling you about transformation. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't send a calendar invite. It compounds. And by the time you notice the gap between you and the operators who started moving 6 months earlier, well, it's too late to close it. So today we're talking about the most dangerous word in business right now. And it's not disruption. It's not AI. It's not even recession. It's fine. F-I-N-E. Fine. I'm Kim.
And I'm Hal.
And this is Small Business, Big AI, the podcast where we stop playing defense and we start building technology-enabled superpowers.
All right. So before we go any further, fine is going to kill Marcus? I've seen a lot of businesses die, Kim. I've watched dealerships go under. I've watched agencies fold. Fine wasn't usually the problem. Catastrophic decisions were the problem. Cash flow was the problem.
And how many of those catastrophic decisions started as small things that nobody addressed because everything seemed fine?
Fair. Keep going.
Okay, today we are talking about the compound effect and why the small decisions that you make or avoid every day are quietly determining whether your business pulls ahead or drifts behind. Okay, so here's what I'm seeing in conversations with operators right now. And I mean real conversations, not LinkedIn posts, not conference panels where everybody's performing for the room. I'm talking about the late night, off the record, okay, but what's actually happening conversations.
The ones after the third drink where people stop pretending.
Exactly. And in those conversations, how I'm noticing something. There are 3 camps forming right now.
Okay, 3 camps? Let's hear it.
The first camp has decided this AI moment doesn't apply to them. They've heard it all before. .com bubble, social media hype, crypto bros promising the future. They're waiting for this to blow over so they can get back to running their businesses the way they've always run it.
I don't know if I call that denial. I'll call that pattern recognition. These people have been burned. Every 5 years, a new everything is changing narrative. And most of the time, it doesn't change that much. At least not for Main Street businesses.
That's fair. And, I get the skepticism, but here's where I want to push back, Hal. Pattern recognition only works if the pattern holds. And this time...
Yeah, I know. You think the pattern's different.
Right. I think the pattern's breaking. And not because I'm a true believer, which I am, but because I'm watching what's actually happening in operations. I mean, real businesses, real contracts, real cost structures are shifting.
Okay. What's camp 2?
Okay, so camp 2 is the people who are genuinely trying to figure this out. They're reading the articles. They're testing the tools. They're overwhelmed and probably confused, maybe even feeling behind, but they're still in motion.
That's most of our listeners.
And I think so, Hal. And if that's you, dear small business, big AI insider, well then, good. I want you to stay in motion. We are going to talk about what that motion should look like in just a little bit.
In Camp 3, let me guess, the people who've already figured it out and are killing it.
Well, not quite. So, Camp 3 is the people who already know. They see what's coming, they understand the trajectory, and some of them, not all, but some, aren't sharing the playbook.
Aren't sharing their playbook? You mean they're hoarding information?
I mean, they're operating in rooms where transformation is being built, not discussed, not debated, built. And there's a question that hangs in the air that nobody wants to say out loud.
Which is?
What happens to the people on the other side of this?
Okay, now you have my attention. Because that's not an AI question. That's a are we okay with what we're building question.
Exactly. And I was in a conversation just this week. Now, I cannot get into specifics, but we were mapping out a system for a logistics operation, a real business, real contracts, real people doing real work. And someone in the room said something that stopped me.
With your mouth open?
Ha ha ha. No. What they said stopped me cold. It gave me chills, Hal.
What did they say?
They said, do these people understand they're about to be put out of work?
And?
And the answer was a shrug, followed by 3 words. That's why UBI.
That's a hell of a shrug.
It is.
And look, I'm not naive. I ran a dealership. I know what it's like to make decisions that affect people's livelihoods. I've had to let people go. I've had to restructure. But that's why UBI? That's not a plan. That's abdication.
And I agree. And this isn't an episode about policy, so I'm not here to debate UBI. But that moment, that shrug, that's the reality serious operators are grappling with right now. Now, some people are building the future without a lot of concern for who gets caught in the wake. And some people are wrestling with it every day.
And some people are pretending it's not happening at all.
Right, which brings us back to Marcus.
Camp 1? The fine guy?
Right, Camp 1. And he's not there because he's stubborn or stupid. He's there because he's busy and fine feels safe.
I've been Marcus. When I was running a dealership, there were months, maybe years, where I was so deep in operations that I couldn't see what was shifting around me. You don't have time to look up when you're putting out fires every day.
And that's exactly how the compound effect gets you. So let's talk about the compound effects. And I don't mean the motivational poster version.
Oh, the small drops fill the bucket thing?
That's the one. Very inspiring, but very incomplete.
Incomplete how?
Because the compound effect works in both directions. Now, we all know the upside version. Small investments, repeated consistently, grow into something substantial. That's the one people put on Pinterest. But there's a shadow version, Hal. Small delays, small avoidances, small I'll get to it next quarter decisions. Those compound too.
Okay, but this is where this breaks down in the real world. Most operators aren't avoiding decisions because they're lazy. They're avoiding them because they generally don't have the capacity. When you're running at 110% just to keep the lights on, I get to it the next quarter isn't procrastination, it's survival.
And I hear that, Hal, and you're right. It's not laziness, but Here's what I'd push back on there. Survival mode is still a compounding decision. You're just compounding the wrong thing.
Explain that.
Well, every day that you spend in survival mode, you're reinforcing the systems that keep you in survival mode. You know, the fires you're fighting today, well, a lot of them exist because of small decisions or non decisions that you made 6 months ago. And the fires you'll be fighting 6 months from now are being created right now.
That's uncomfortable.
And it should be.
Because what you're saying is there's no neutral. You're either compounding progress or compounding drift.
That's exactly what I'm saying. And the operators pulling ahead, well, they aren't smarter. They didn't just get lucky. They just started making small decisions 6 months before everyone else did.
I don't fully buy that.
Okay, so tell me why.
Because I've seen plenty of operators make fast decisions that drove them straight into a wall. Speed isn't the same as wisdom. Sometimes I'll get to it the next quarter. It's the right call because you don't have enough information yet.
Okay, yes, that's fair, and I'll give that to you. But speed for speed's sake can absolutely destroy you. But here's the distinction that I'd make. There's a difference between strategic patience and comfortable avoidance. Strategic patience is I'm deliberately waiting because the timing isn't right and I know why. But comfortable avoidance is I keep pushing this because dealing with it feels hard.
And most people can't tell the difference when they're in it.
Right. Most people can't tell the difference. And that's the trap. Avoidance feels like patience. Drift feels like stability. And by the time you realize which one you were actually doing,
The math has changed.
right, the math has changed. So let me tell you about Marcus,
Our logistics guy?
our logistics guy. So 23 employees, drivers, dispatchers, coordinators. I mean, a solid contract last year. Revenue is consistent. Team is loyal. On paper, everything looks good.
I know this guy. I've been this guy. What's his blind spot?
Oh, well, his blind spot is the same one most operators have. Every month, Marcus sees an article about AI transforming logistics. I mean, route optimization, predictive maintenance, automated dispatch, real stuff happening in his industry. And he thinks, I should look into that.
And then the truck breaks down.
Or a driver calls in sick, or a client needs something yesterday. And the article gets bookmarked. The demo gets rescheduled. The conversation about mapping out their process gets pushed.
Not canceled.
Never canceled, just pushed because there's always something more urgent.
And because the business is doing fine.
Exactly.
Okay, but let me play devil's advocate here. I've also seen operators who chase every shiny new thing and burn through cash on tools they never implemented. There's a real cost to distraction. Maybe Marcus pushing things the next quarter is actually discipline.
It could be if he's doing it intentionally. If he's saying, I've evaluated this and it's not a priority right now. But how that's not what's happening. What's happening is drift disguised as discipline.
How do you know the difference?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. So let me introduce you to Denise.
Denise? Who's Denise?
Well, Denise runs a similar operation to Marcus. Similar size, similar contracts, same chaos, same trucks breaking down, same clients with impossible deadlines,
Same overwhelm.
same overwhelm. But 6 months ago, Denise made one small decision.
Just one?
Just one. She carved out 2 hours on a Friday afternoon and sat with her head dispatcher to map out their actual process. Not to buy software, not to implement anything, just to see it.
2 hours to document what they were already doing?
That's it. And what she found was a mess. Driver assignments were being made on gut feel. Institutional knowledge living in one person's head. I mean, no system, no criteria, just Frank knows which drivers work best for which routes.
All right. I know Frank. Every business has a Frank. At my dealership, Frank was named Eddie. Eddie knew where every part was, which customers were difficult, which salespeople needed hand-holding. And when Eddie had a heart attack,
Let me guess. Chaos.
3 months of chaos, because everything Eddie knew lived in Eddie's head. We had no system. We had a person.
And that's exactly what Denise realized. Frank was the system, and Frank had become a bottleneck without anyone noticing.
Because everything was fine.
Right, because everything was fine. So Denise did something simple. She asked Frank to explain his criteria, like what makes a good match between a driver and a route. And they wrote it down. 3 questions.
That's it?
That's it. 3 questions every assignment had to answer. Then she found a free trial for a basic dispatch tool. Nothing fancy, just something that could apply those 3 questions automatically.
And let me guess, it worked.
Right. 3 months later, that tool was saving 8 hours a week in dispatch time.
8 hours a week? That's
That's 1 full day, which freed Frank up to take on a task that was costing Denise $3,000 a month in outsourced admin work.
so 2-hour Friday afternoon turned into $36,000 a year in savings.
And counting, Hal, because now Denise has margin. Margin to experiment again. Margin to test something else. Margin to compound.
While Marcus is still bookmarking articles.
Right. While Marcus is still bookmarking articles.
All right, I'm sold on the Denise story, but here's my question. What's the difference between Denise and the operators who tried the same thing and failed? Because I've seen that too. Someone carved out time, mapped the process, buys a tool, and 6 months later, they're back to the old way because the tool didn't fit the team, or the team resisted, or the implementation fell apart.
Well, great question. And the answer is Denise didn't try to solve everything. She solved one thing, one bottleneck, one process, one tool. She didn't try to transform her whole operation in a quarter. She made a small bet.
Small bet, fast feedback.
Right, small bet, fast feedback, and then she compounded. So here's the framework. Decision velocity matters more than decision size.
I want to push on that because I've seen decision velocity destroy businesses too. The move fast and break things crowd that left wreckage behind.
And you're right, Hal. And so I'm not talking about recklessness. I'm talking about the difference between motion and paralysis. I mean, the operators pulling ahead aren't making bigger bets. They're making faster, small bets, testing, learning, iterating while everyone else is still thinking about it.
So the goal isn't to get it right.
The goal is to get in motion because motion creates information and information creates better decisions.
But you can't get the information from the sideline.
Right. You cannot get that information from the sidelines. You have to make a decision even a small, imperfect, let's try this and see decision to learn what the next decision should be.
That's hard for planners, people who want all the information before they act.
And I know because I'm one of those people.
Maybe, but you seem pretty decisive to me.
Well, I've learned to be, but my natural instinct is to research, analyze, prepare. And really what I've learned painfully is that in a transformation, the information you need doesn't exist until you create it through action.
So waiting on clarity actually prevents clarity.
And that's exactly right.
Okay, I want to go back to the human cost thing because Denise saving 8 hours a week sounds like it's great for Denise. But if AI is optimizing away jobs, if the shrug is that's why UBI, what's the operator's responsibility here? Are we just supposed to optimize without thinking about the consequences?
Well, no. And the operators who do that, who pretend that question doesn't exist, well, they're building on sand
Why?
because transformation isn't just about efficiency. It's about building something sustainable, something that accounts for the humans in the system.
That sounds nice, Kim. But in practice, when you're looking at a spreadsheet and one path saves you $50,000 a year and the other path keeps 3 jobs that might not exist anymore, what do you actually do?
Well, Hal, I don't have a clean answer. And anyone who tells you they do is lying. Now, what I do know is this: the operators who wrestle with that question build different kinds of businesses than the ones who don't. They find solutions the optimizers miss. They build loyalty that shows up in ways that don't appear on spreadsheets.
So it's not about avoiding the hard decisions. It's about not taking the easy shrug.
Right. It's about not taking the easy shrug. Okay, so let me get personal for a minute.
Oh no, vulnerable Kim incoming.
Okay, well, don't get too excited. I wouldn't go that far. But as you all know, I'm in the middle of opening a business right now, not theoretically, actually. And the compound effect isn't some abstract concept for me. It's Tuesday meetings and letters to stakeholders and decisions that feel small but definitely aren't.
What kind of decisions?
Every kind. Location decisions that keep shifting, partner conversations that could go multiple directions, system decisions where I don't have enough information but I can't wait for more.
I remember that feeling from the dealership. The franchise board wanted everything perfect before they approve it. But you couldn't make it perfect until you were operational. It's the chicken and the egg nightmare.
Exactly. And every week I have a choice: push forward on something uncomfortable, a conversation I don't want to have, a document I don't want to write, a decision that might be wrong, or wait.
And you push.
Right. I push, even when it's messy, because I have learned that the cost of waiting is almost always higher than the cost of being wrong.
That's easy to say, harder to live.
It's exhausting sometimes. And there are nights that I lie in bed running scenarios. What if that decision backfires? What if I pushed when I should have waited?
But you still made the decision.
I still made it because I have seen what happens to operators who stay in fine too long. I watched it happen to competitors when I was running my first agency. Businesses that looked stable from the outside, businesses that were doing fine, and then one day they weren't. And everyone acted surprised. but the signs had been there for years.
Small decisions compounding.
Small non-decisions compounding. That's the scarier version.
Can I be honest about something?
I mean, always.
When I was running a dealership, there was a period, probably 18 months, where I was Marcus. I knew things were shifting. I could see digital changing how people bought cars. I could see the service model evolving. But I was so deep in daily operations that kept pushing things, strategic stuff, to the next quarter.
So what happened?
I caught it, barely, but it cost me. By the time I started adapting, competitors who moved in earlier had already captured the market position. I couldn't get it back. I left money on the table. I left opportunity on the table because I was fine too long.
And that's why you push back on me when I get too theoretical.
That's why I push back, because I've paid the tuition. I know how this actually works in the real world, not just in frameworks.
And that's why we do this together.
Well, that and you're stuck with me.
It's something like that, huh? All right, challenge time.
Give the people something to do.
Okay, one thing, just one. I want you to identify one decision that you've been postponing. Not a strategic overhaul, not reimagine my entire business, but one small thing you keep pushing to next week.
Be specific. What counts?
Like that email you haven't sent, the tool you keep meaning to try, the conversation with your team member you've been avoiding, the 2 hours you haven't carved out to document a process that lives in someone's head.
The process that lives in someone's head. I like that one. Every business has at least one.
Every business has several, Hal, but I want you to pick just one.
And then?
Make the decision this week, not perfectly, not with all the information, just make it.
What if it's the wrong decision?
Then you'll learn something, which is more than you'll learn by waiting.
And if it works?
Then you'll have margin to make another small decision, margin to compound.
You know what's interesting? When you frame it that way, one small decision this week, it doesn't feel overwhelming. It feels doable.
And that's the point. The compound effect isn't about heroic transformation. It's about sustainable motion, one decision at a time.
Small steps.
Small steps that lead to big changes.
There's the tagline.
We earn that tagline every week, Hal.
Here's my challenge back to the audience. Don't think about the decision. Put it on your calendar. Block 30 minutes this week. Make it real.
Because a decision that isn't scheduled is just a wish.
And wishes don't compound.
Now that's it for today's episode of Small Business Big AI. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Before we go, January 27th, mark it.
We're going live on LinkedIn with Rob Belfield, and this isn't going to be polished talking points. We're getting into the real questions that operators are wrestling with right now.
The questions nobody asks on the conference stages because they're too uncomfortable.
Yeah, the what happens to the people on the other side of this questions. The am I already behind questions. The stuff that keeps you up at night.
Link in the show notes. Show up live if you can. This one's going to be a real conversation.
And if you haven't subscribed yet,
Come on, you've made it this far. You clearly have great taste.
so take the small step. hit subscribe, let it compound,
One decision at a time.
and until next time, keep building your technology-enabled superpower.
And make the decision. Don't just think about it.
And this has been
And small business, big AI.
We'll catch you in the next episode.